Good day everyone. Good day ma'am. So our lesson for today is all about Gestalt Psychology. But before that, here are the objectives. So first is to describe the different Gestalt principles. Second is list ways of applying Gestalt Psychology in the teaching learning process. And the third is to demonstrate appreciation of the usefulness of Gestalt principles in the teaching learning process. So Gestalt theory. Gestalt theory was the initial cognitive response to the behaviorism. So it emphasized the importance of sensory halls on the dynamic natures of visual perception. So when we say Gestalt, or Gestalt means form or configuration. So here are the different peoples who propose or the proponent of Gestalt psychology. So first is Max Wertheimer, Wolfgang Kohler, and Kurt Kafka. So they studied perception and conclude that the perceivers or learners are not passive but rather active. Second is they suggested that learners do not just collect information as is, but they actively process and restructure data in order to understand it. And this is the perceptual process. So certain factors impact on this perceptual process: past experiences, needs, attitudes, and one's present situation. So we have here the Gestalt principles. So first is the law of proximity. So here in law of proximity, the elements that are closer together will be perceived as a coherent object. So the second is law of similarity. So in law of similarity naman, so the elements that look similar will be perceived as part of the same form. So magkapareho talaga. Then the third is law of closure. Sa law of closure naman, we tend to fill the gap or close the figures we perceive. And next is law of good continuation. So in law of good continuation, individuals have the tendency to continue contours whenever the elements of the pattern establish an implied direction. The fifth one is law of good pregnance. So that stimulus will be organized into as good a figure as possible. So the last one is law of figure of ground. So here in law of figure of ground, we tend to pay attention and perceive things in the foreground first. So that is the Gestalt principles. So here is my partner, Miss Bernalyn Caneda, to discuss or continue our discussion. So that's all, and thank you.
Insight learning. Gestalt psychology adheres to the idea of learning taking place by the discovering or insight. The idea of insight learning was first developed by Wolfgang Kohler, in which he described experiments with apes where the apes could use boxes and sticks as tools to solve problems. This indicates that learning aspect the whole person and result from a person's engagement with his or her circumstances or environment. Next is Gestalt principles and the teaching learning process. The 6 Gestalt principles not only influence perception but they also impact on learning. Other psychologists like Kurt Lewin expounded on Gestalt psychology. His theory focusing on life space adhered to Gestalt psychology. These principles aim to show how complex scene can be reduced to more simple shapes. According to Kurt Lewin, he said that an individual has inner forces and outer forces that affects his perception and also his learning. Inner forces include his own motivation, attitudes, and feelings, and outer forces may include the attitude and behavior of the teacher and classmates. All these forces interact and impact on the person's learning. Thank you, that's all.